Good morning. Oh, it works. Ladies and gentlemen, we will get started. We know that there's a parking issue, and some people are trying to find a place to park, but we need to get on with the event. My name is Martha House, and I am the wife of Charles House, and we are the organizers of this event, and we have been doing this since 1994. So we're glad you're all here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce one of our friends who will do what Charles normally does, and that's introduce the moderator. Judge Rolf M. Troy was born in Germany and moved as a child with his family first to Canada and then to California in 1960. Judge Troy graduated with honors from Temple City High School, where he was senior class president. He then received his BA degree with distinction from the University of Redlands. So did I. 1 year of his university studies was spent at the Free University of Berlin, Germany, where he studied medieval European history. Judge Troy attended Loyola University School of Law, graduating in 1974 on the Dean's List. He began his legal career in civil litigation with a firm in downtown Los Angeles, and then started his own firm, where he practiced plaintiff personal injury law until he was appointed to the bench. In 1995, Governor Pete Wilson appointed Judge Troy to the bench, where he sat first in West Covina, and since 2001 in downtown Los Angeles. On the bench, Judge Troy has handled many trials, ranging from driving under the influence to first-degree murder, family law, and complicated civil matters. Judge Troy has sat on various committees of the Superior Court, including family law, bench-bar relations, and rules. Judge Troy has taught new judges at California's annual Judicial College at Berkeley, and has been active in donating his time judging high school mock trials and law school moot court competitions. After 26 years on the bench, Judge Troy retired in 2021 and is currently sitting on assignment as directed by the Chief Justice of California. Let's give a warm welcome to Judge Troy.
Thank you very much, Martha. It's a great honor to be here. And hear me better now? Anybody can't hear me?
No, I can't hear.
Can't hear. You will work. Hello? Oh, there we go. All right. So it's an honor for me to be here and to have the community involved as it is with respect to judicial elections. As you know, in California, we have 3 branches of government: executive, legislative, and judiciary. And what we're here on today is obviously the judiciary. There are 431 judicial offices in Los Angeles County. So there's 431 Superior Court judges, and there's some holes in the maintenance of that, which we're going to fill with this election. Most judges are appointed by the governor and not elected, but sometimes there are holes that happen during the course of the year where open seats are available, and then candidates file for those seats. The only requirement is they be a lawyer for 10 years and have that experience. So judges' terms are 6 years. So every 2 years, do you see 140 judges on the ballot? No, you never will. Because a judge will only go on the ballot if he or she is challenged by another judge or by an outsider. Not by another judge, by an outsider, an outside lawyer. So that happens relatively rarely. And so once that doesn't happen, on a particular ballot, the judge is automatically reelected. He doesn't even appear on the ballot. So that's why you don't see all those names of judges on ballots, because they've been automatically reelected to another 6-year term. The Superior Court is the only court where elections take place. The Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court are filled by appointments by the governor, and what happens there is they have elections by retention only, retention elections, where on the ballot you will see, shall this justice be reappointed for the term prescribed by law? And you either say yes or no. If you say yes, he or she's back in office. If you say no, he's out or she's out and must be reappointed. And new justice must be reappointed. But there's no person that can challenge a sitting Court of Appeal judge or Supreme Court justice, which is much different from other states. We all have different systems. Each state has different systems. You may recall sometimes in other states there are very intense runs for judges and judges of the Supreme Court, where justices of the Supreme Court are challenged by lawyers based upon certain political issues. In California, our judicial elections are non-political, non-partisan. So you won't see a Republican or Democratic name next to the ballot or next to the candidate, because we feel that's irrelevant. Other states don't feel that way, and so sometimes they're very highly partisan elections in other states. Excuse me. Oh. Sorry. Next, I would like to introduce our moderator today, Robert Bonner. Robert Bonner is a former United States attorney and former U.S. District Judge for the Central District of California. Judge Bonner's public service has also included serving as the Commissioner of the U.S. Customs Service, and after the Homeland Security Reorganization of 2002, the first Commissioner of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the agency of the Department of Homeland Security responsible for managing and securing the borders of our nation. Prior to that, Judge Bonner served as the Administrator of the Drug Enforcement Administration. He is a retired partner of Gibson, Dunn & Crutcher, and is currently the principal of Bonner Alternative Dispute and Settlement Services, and serves as neutral arbitrator and mediator in large commercial disputes. Judge Bonner is also a member of the Civilian Oversight Commission of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and is a former chair of the California Commission on Judicial Performance. He currently serves on the Board of Trustees of the California Institute of Technology. Early in his career, he served in the U.S. Navy Judge Advocate General's Corps and as an assistant U.S. attorney, and I can feel him standing right next to me. So, hand it over to Judge Bonner. Judge.
Thank you, Judge True, for that introduction and for that background on Superior Court judgeships and how it comes to be that they get on the ballot. Good morning, everybody. I want to welcome everybody attending. I think we want to welcome all of the candidates that are attending this Judicial Candidates Forum and the interested citizens we have out there. I think, by the way, that KPCC Public Radio will be, can you not hear me?
Yes, that's a problem. Should we get permit?
You mean it needs to be turned up? Or I just need, it's literally, you have to kiss the microphone. Okay, got that. All right. We're running a little behind, so let me just say what I said was I was thanking everybody for attending. I'm delighted to be here once again at the invitation of Martha House to moderate this forum of judicial candidates for the office of Superior Court Judgeship in and for Los Angeles County. This is surely the largest and I think most important trial court of our country. I particularly want to thank Martha and Charles House for inviting me to moderate, and I think there was some applause, but since they've been doing this for several decades, I think we should all thank them for organizing this one-of-a-kind forum in our county. In addition to welcoming all of you, I want to particularly welcome the mayor of Whittier, Joe Venetieri. Where are you, Mr. Mayor? Yeah, I'm told that he's here. And I also want to welcome a city council person from the city of Whittier, Kathy Warner, who I know is here. Where are you, Kathy? Oh, there she is, okay. I'm not looking in the right direction. We're running a little late, so let me just say that everybody that's on this stage, it's all right, they can come on up. Everybody on board, we need to continue to make progress, however. Everybody that's to my right and left here is aspiring to be a judge of the Los Angeles County Superior Court. So it's our system to elect the trial court judges where there's an open seat, as Judge True explained. And the public in early March will be deciding who should hold these, who will be elected to these very important judicial offices. Let me just say that I'm going to call on each one of the candidates for the various offices that will be up for election. In the interest of time, I'm going to only be able to give each one of them, so note this, candidates, 4 minutes to make your opening statement. All right? Does that help? Yes, that does help, doesn't it? So they'll each have 4 minutes to make opening statements, and I'll call it by individual office. So with that in mind, after we finish the process of opening statements, I may have a few questions. I may have a few questions of the candidates myself, but we'll open it up for questions from the audience. Just don't ask any of the candidates how they would decide your particular case, or a particular case. All right, thank you. Because that would violate the canons of judicial ethics, and they're not supposed to do that. Okay, we're going to get started. Now, I was hoping, and I was told, I believe, that Judge Spear would be here. There are 2 of these offices where there's a city judge who's being challenged. And one of them is Judge Spear. Does anybody know, is she going to be here or not? Okay, she won't be here, and that's very disappointing because she'd indicated to me that she would be here, and we have her challenger here. We'll have an opportunity to say why she should be unseated from her Superior Court seat. And then I know that Judge Olson, who was the other, Lynn Olson is the other judge that's being challenged. She has informed me that she couldn't be here, that she had another commitment. I don't know what it is that would be more important than perhaps rebutting what her challenger might have to say, but she's not here either. And that's unfortunate. But I am going to start off with the 2 judicial offices. So we'll start off with number 12. So this is Judge Lynn Olson. She's being challenged by Rhonda Heyman. And Rhonda, I'm going to ask you to come forward and tell us why you should replace a judge who's been sitting on the bench now, I think, for maybe 10 or 12 years or so. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to use this microphone. Testing. All right. Well, first and foremost, my name is Rhonda Heyman, and I am the people's dream judge. And I'm going to tell you why I am the people's dream judge. Women, please stand up. Women, please stand up. We've had some of the same trials and tribulations. Men, please stand up. I fought for some of the same things that affect men. In Alabama, Tuskegee, Alabama, I fought to help abolish the Alabama chain gangs. The men were working the Alabama chain gangs. I fought for you. Please have a seat. By a show of hands, who in here believes in equality? I'm your dream judge. Who in here believes of justice? Believes in it? Wait a minute, we have some people who do not believe in justice? By a show of hands, who believes in justice? For 23 years, I have been making sure that people play by the rules. And that has been in the role, it's sometimes an unpopular role. But a change agent isn't always popular. Think about the Warren Court. Do you guys know who the Warren Court are? They were deemed the most liberal court. But guess what? Even if you are the most conservative person in this room, you have benefited from the Warren Court. Miranda, we know what that is, right? Gideon, the case that allowed people like me to represent indigent people. You believe in your power to vote? Reynolds versus Sims. One person, one vote. I get things done. I've been a successful trial lawyer. Successful. Check my statistics. Successful. For 23 years. And my clients, I don't just patch them up and send them out. I make them whole again. Recidivism, my clients don't do that. They haven't been coming back and forth in and out of the criminal justice system. I've been practicing the holistic approach before holistic was a name. And I stand against anything that represents inequality. When you see me and you see my name and you see the Los Angeles County Bar Association, they are going to say that I am not qualified. After 23 years of commitment and dedication to ACLU, fighting for the rights of people to just have a bed to sleep in, the Los Angeles County Bar Association says I am not qualified. I am an adjunct professor at Southwestern Law School. Yesterday, I was with a winning team on the moot court, but I am not qualified. Out of the 15 women that were unqualified in 2022, 60% of those women were deemed not qualified. I am the people's dream judge. I will fight and stand for you.
So I do have one question. Stay by that mic there. First of all, would you stay by the mic? Thank you. The question is this. I have heard, I don't know that it's accurate or not, but that Judge Olson held you in contempt, and you didn't address that. Did she hold you in contempt, and why? Which is a little unusual, folks, for a deputy federal public defender to be held in contempt by a judge. But go ahead. I want to hear the explanation.
Yes, and anyone who wants the full transcript can have it. I have it. Judge Olson had set other contempt proceedings for me. Judge Olson had indicated that I did not come to her court at the time she had ordered me to court. And immediately I apologized. I said, "Oh, Your Honor, I didn't hear you order me to court at the time you said." Well, my office had to get me lawyers. She set a hearing. What transpired is she realized she did not order me to court. And I know it's hard for people to believe.
I think you answered the question, so it was a misunderstanding.
Oh, no,
and she shouldn't have held you in contempt. Are you running against her to retaliate because she held you in contempt? Or not?
No. I'm running against Judge Olson because on the morning that she held me in contempt, I was asking to just speak to my client and have my client present. And I studied her court to see how other lawyers had been treated by her. And I quoted the 2 cases where I saw that she had treated other lawyers better than I. And when she called the case, my client was still not present because he didn't even know his case was being called. I had asked her for second call. And because I quoted the other cases where she had treated, which is what the implicit bias training tells you to do. I followed what they train us to do. And because I quoted those other cases to her, where she had treated other attorneys fairer and other clients fairer than she was treating my clients, she held me in contempt.
Thank you, Ms. Heyman, for the explanation. Now, let me also, you can be seated, Ms. Heyman.
Thank you.
We'll restore the mic. Let me just say that, too, that I know Ms. Heyman, I couldn't hear her very well when they speak here. I practically couldn't hear much of what she said, but she did refer to the LA County Bar Association's ratings of qualified, well qualified, not qualified. The LA County Bar, the last time I checked, had not come out with its ratings. Will not come out with them probably till the end of January. I think we should all look at them because they usually are fairly informative, and there's a process they go through to make their ratings. But they're not out yet, and they won't be out, I believe, until about the end of January. Well, that takes us to the other judicial office in which there's an incumbent judge, Emily Spear, and she's not here, but her challenger, Kimberly Rebecca, is here. So I'm going to ask Ms. Rebecca, who is, by the way, a deputy public defender. You should all, everybody should say what they are currently, so I don't have to do it. But she's a deputy federal public defender. So, Mr. Rebecca, could you step forward? Oh, right there. No idea. So you have 4 minutes.
We're not federal public defenders, by the way.
Did I say federal public? Oh, I'm sorry. LA County public defenders. I'm from the federal system, so I sometimes slip. But a county public defender. And so explain why you should unseat somebody who's been an incumbent judge now for a number of years.
So that's what I should address during my opening statement? Okay. No, of course. I'd like to talk about my own qualifications, though, as well, not just her lack of. All right, thank you. I'm Kim Rebecca, and I'm running for LA Superior Court Judge, Office 124, and I was motivated to run in this election cycle due to the misconduct of the incumbent. And she's not here. She said she would be here, and she's not, and that is exactly on brand for her. I recommend that you Google her. I don't have 4 minutes to spend talking about the 12 pages that the Commission on Judicial Performance wrote about her misconduct in her job currently.
Hopefully this will work.
All right. So most of my experience has been in criminal court as a deputy public defender. I've been a deputy public defender for over 5.5 years. Prior to that, I was in dependency court. If you're not familiar with dependency court, that is where parents and guardians are taken when the Department of Children and Family Services thinks that their children are at risk of abuse or neglect. I started off representing children, by definition, victims in the case, directly. Those were my clients. I protected them. And then I moved on to working with their parents, because the goal of that system is both to protect children and to preserve families. And I felt I was in a better position to preserve families by working with their parents. So I did. I've also gotten a lot of experience in other areas over the years through my volunteer work, through extra training. I've done a bit of employment law, I've done a bit of family law, small claims, immigration, licensing issues, petitioning for people to get their unemployment benefits, things of that nature. I have a really wide range of experience, but my depth of experience is in criminal court and dependency court, which is very near and dear to my heart. The things that I'm proud of that I've done during my career include things like getting unemployment benefits for a man so that he could feed his family while he looked for new work. Things like helping someone appeal a licensing denial when he wanted to work in a group home because he'd been convicted of a felony over 10 years before. And now he knows that just because he made a mistake in the past doesn't mean that he can't be a model for better behavior in the future for those children that were in that group home. It sends a message to him, and it sends a message to them too. I'm proud that I represented children who were sexually abused by their father and never wanted to see him again. And I thought that was fair, and I litigated for that man to not receive reunification services when the Department of Children and Family Services, for some reason, was recommending that he does. I am proud of getting a petition dismissed against a mom who had a long drug history, but she got herself clean without the help of the Department of Children and Family Services 1 year before DCFS tried to take away her newborn child. And I've helped countless other families reunify. I've helped a man who was deaf get into a substance abuse program. It was in San Diego. It's the only one in the US. The DA wanted to send him to prison for 2 years. That's not what his family wanted. That's not what the victims on the case wanted. They wanted him to get better. And that's what I fought for. Every time I've been able to accomplish any of these things, it's been because a judge or a DA was convinced to do the right thing by me. And I'm tired of waiting for them to do the right thing. I'm tired of asking them to do the right thing, them acknowledging that it's the right thing, and them just saying, I hope that's how that works out at the end. You're the judge. You have the power. Do the right thing. I'm ready to do the right thing, and I hope you give me the chance, and I can earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. This might be back on. Yes, it is. Before we proceed to the next office, this is the challenger to Judge Spear, as you know, Ms. Rebecca. She did refer to the fact that Judge Spear has been subject to essentially discipline by the California Commission on Judicial Performance, and it's about a 10-page document. It's available on the CJP or California Judicial Performance website if you want to take a look at it. But just in brief summary, I mean, it admonishes her for essentially not showing up for work at the Compton Superior Court, and also leaving early, particularly without reporting it to her supervising judge, and also making misrepresentations to her supervising judge. That's why it's a pretty serious matter that resulted in a public admonishment. And it's just really a shame that Judge Spear did not attend to explain it to us, but she didn't. So let me now turn to the open seats. There's 7 of them, and I'm going to start with number 39. And I don't know that they're all here, but there are at least 4 candidates for open seat number 39. I'm going to start with Jacob Lee, who is a deputy district attorney, to tell us why he would make it a very, very good Superior Court judge.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jacob Lee. I'm a Deputy District Attorney for the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, and I'm running for judge in seat number 39. I'm running for judge because I want to be the voice for justice and voice for all people in LA County. I have been a voice for justice as a Deputy District Attorney of over a decade. I was a Deputy District Attorney in the Fresno County District Attorney's Office for 2 years, and the remaining time in the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office. And the reason I became a DA to begin with is in part because of what happened to my parents. I immigrated from South Korea to Los Angeles at the age of 1. And when my parents immigrated to Los Angeles, they were robbed multiple times. When they came here in search of a better life, unfortunately, they were the victims of crime. My father was robbed at gunpoint. And I was actually with my mother when one of those robberies occurred, but I was too young to remember it. They told me about what had happened to them a few years later in my life, and of course the first question I asked them was, did they catch the perpetrators? They didn't, they said. And it's because they never even reported the crimes to the police. They were afraid of the police, who neither looked like them nor spoke their language. They were intimidated by the criminal justice system of their new country. And that same feeling, being intimidated by the criminal justice system, is frankly a sentiment that even a lot of my friends and family members and people I meet growing up have all felt at some point in their life. And I wanted to be a voice for those people who could not seek justice on their own. And that's why I became a deputy district attorney. But I want to be a voice for all people in LA County. I want to make sure that if elected as judge, that everyone who enters my courtroom will feel safe, feel heard, feel empowered, and that they have a voice in my courtroom and not be intimidated like my parents were. And that even goes for offenders, even defendants. As a deputy district attorney, I understand when enough is enough, absolutely. And I have no problem sending people to state prison or jail when necessary for the safety of the community. But I have a very interesting experience because I'm a calendar DA in our office. It's typically a senior position in my office where the DA makes the final offer on cases, where this DA, the calendar DA, decides if the offer is going to be state prison or if this person gets a second chance on probation with no jail time or maybe minimal jail time. And thankfully, I'm in this position where I've been a calendar DA for over 2 years at the Criminal Courts Building in downtown. And in that position, I have actually given second chances to people who I felt were deserving of it. Because our criminal justice system does, in fact, need to figure out a way for these people to not come back in our criminal justice system. We don't want repeat customers. But at the same time, we need to do it only when it's safe for the community. And we also need judges who are strong, who can say enough is enough. That is why I believe in my seat, I am the only candidate who offers this balanced view on justice, where I'm not biased on one side or the other. And that is why I'm asking for your vote. Unfortunately, I need to leave a little early after I make this speech because I have a funeral service to attend in Pasadena. But I want to preemptively answer a question that some of you may be thinking about, which is, man, this gentleman looks kind of young, right? And I am young. But we also need diversity in age on the bench. But also, I may be young in number, but not in experience. And quality of experience is more important than quantity. You know, I'm thankfully the father of 2 children, husband to a loving wife, and also my immigrant experiences have taught me a lot, which I've gotten a brief chance to share with you. I would ask, please take a card on the table over there, learn more about me. Please visit my website, and I look forward to your vote. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Lee. Also a candidate for Judicial Office number 39 is Rhonda Dixon, who is listed as an attorney at law. Is Ms. Dixon here? Oh, there she is. Ms. Dixon, the floor is yours. For this.
Good morning, everyone. So I have been an attorney for 36 years. I have a varied experience. I started out in the district attorney's office in the appellate division, and I noticed that it was a place where they sent people to be trained as judges because judges' rulings can be appealed if they make a mistake. And obviously that happens quite frequently because the appellate courts are pretty full. I found out a lot by that experience. There was a constitutional challenge at the time to the jury composition, and I had to actually serve judges with writs of mandate, and they didn't know what they were. Sometimes the deputies would tell me, You can't serve my judge. I said, well, then your judge can be arrested if they don't follow this order, because the appellate court actually is higher than them, and they do answer to somebody. So I find that in my practice, I have started out doing civil litigation, construction litigation. I started out doing entertainment law. That was my dream, and I did end up representing Shaggy, #1 artist in the world, and I represented a lot of different entertainers, and I was very happy about that, negotiating very good contracts for them. Justice is a threefold thing. It's social, economic, and criminal. And a lot of the judges here speak to the criminal bench, but they don't speak to the fact that these judges, all of us, could be possibly put on the family law bench, the civil bench, or the criminal bench. And a lot of the DAs will not be on the criminal bench just because of potential conflicts of interest. Because since they have been active DAs, they might be on the other side of a lot of us, the criminal defense lawyers. So I say that to say that I was born and raised in this community. I was born on 54th and McKinley, and I saw 2 people that were overdosed on heroin when I was a little girl coming to school. For that reason, I've always been the person that stands up to bullies and the person that tries to right the wrongs that happen. I set up a substance abuse clinic after a lucrative career as an entertainment lawyer. I went back to my community to set up a substance abuse clinic called Dixon Recovery Institute on 48th and Crenshaw. In 7 years, we became the 15th largest provider in LA County, and I helped a lot of people recover. So I know that it works. I have several clients right now that I fight to be in mental health diversion so that they can get the substance abuse help that they need, veterans court. These are what we call problem-solving courses. This is what we call restorative justice. I think that hurt people, and I think we need to get back to the root cause of the problem. As a judge, I will be fair, compassionate, and just. I have proven that I'm not afraid to get on the other side and help people, because I've actually lived and worked doing the hard things. You can talk about restorative justice, or you can be about restorative justice. I've literally sat there and held a person's baby. They were going to take their child from them, and I convinced them to go through my program, and then they were able to get their children back. I am dedicated to making sure the playing field is level. I've been in civil court, I've done evictions, I've tried my best to help people social, economic, and criminal justice. I was motivated to do this because of my own experience. When I had my substance abuse clinic, this issue probably will come up, but I was, there's an attorney in New York that told me this: no good deed goes unpunished. I actually got prosecuted to the very fullest extent of the law for trying to help my community and doing something that was very difficult. A substance abuse clinic is not easy to run. Obviously, I won because I'm here before you and I do not have any marks against my bar license, okay? But it also made me think, you know what about a person that doesn't have the resources and the knowledge and the experience as I do, and they're on this side of justice, on the criminal, on the other side of that bench? Who's going to stand up for them, and who's going to make sure that justice is served? So that's why I became a criminal defense lawyer, and that's why I would make a great judge. Thank you.
So in addition, judicial seat number 39, there's a candidate, a deputy public defender for LA County, I believe, George Turner. Mr. Turner, could you step forward? Would you prefer this rambling mic?
Hello? Okay, so first of all, let me say that I apologize. Every time I touch anything that's involved in machinery, it breaks down, so I apologize in advance. My name is George Turner. I am running for seat number 39, Los Angeles County Superior Court Judge. A little bit about myself. I am born and raised in Inglewood, California. I went to elementary school, public school. I went to elementary school, high school, and college, all public school. I graduated valedictorian from my high school, graduated summa cum laude from my undergraduate institution, and then I went on to law school. I then decided to become a public defender. And I've been a public defender for about a decade and a half. I can tell you a little bit about why I chose to become a public defender. We've heard a couple of stories about people being victims of crime. And that's an interesting story because one of my oldest memories, one of my first memories is of someone putting a gun in my face and asking my mom for her purse. A little bit after that, someone broke into my house as a child. I've been stopped by the police on an average once a month since I turned 18 years old. I've been a victim to a lot of crimes, but my decision to become a public defender was this. What I realized as a member of the community is that there's this sort of distinction between people who are defendants and people who are victims. It's not a fair analysis of what's really going on a day-to-day basis. We are all community members, right? And today's defendant is going to be tomorrow's victim, all right? It's part of the reason why the law has changed so much over the last 5 to 10 years, okay? You gotta realize, right, when, for the last 50 years, the state of California has put a variety of people in and out of prisons, all right? We've opened 23 prisons, 3 colleges over the last 50 years, okay? And over the last 5 to 6 years, the law has changed. We've passed Measure H and Measure J. There's been SB 731. There's been a law changed on how you do pretrial, how you decide on bail. So a variety of things have changed with regard to the law. But when you go into a courtroom, many things have not changed, all right? When you walk into a courtroom, still, most of the people who are being accused are either black or brown. Most of the people who are making the decisions about what happens to them are not. Many of the people who we represent as a public defenders are people who are poor and have mental health issues. And many of the times the decisions that are made is whether or not they're going to be in custody and how long they're going to be in custody. So the law has changed, and the reason why I want to be a judge is because as we've changed the law, if we want to implement that law, we need to have people who are dedicated to implementing that law. And as a public defender over my last decade and a half, that's exactly what I've been doing. I've been fighting to get people mental health diversion. I've been fighting to get people's records cleared. I've been fighting to make communities whole, one defendant at a time. So as a judge, I hope to, I told you, as a judge,
Back up.
I told you. So, as I was saying, as a judge, I hope to be able to make Okay, I'll stand behind the podium. All right, it'll do it again. Hello? Can you hear me still? I told you. So, as a judge, what I hope to do is make real the sort of changes in the law that have occurred over the last 5 to 10 years, right? It looks like my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. There's a fourth candidate, Steve Napolitano. He may show up. He said he was running late, but he's not here, so we're moving on to, and if we have time to accommodate him and he arrives, we'll do that. We're going to move on. I'm going to jump ahead to the open seat, number 130. Number 130, we have 3 candidates running for that open seat. And I'll start with Christopher Darden, who is listed as an attorney/professor. Mr. Darden, I must say, by the way, rarely do we have a candidate with real name recognition. Mr. Darden was one of the lead deputy district attorneys in the prosecution of the O.J. Simpson case. But he's going to talk about why he'd be a good judge. Mr. Darden.
Thank you all. Good morning. Can you hear me? Thank you. Can you hear me now? Thank you, Judge Troy, Judge Bonner. Thank you, and Mrs. House, Martha House. Thank you for doing all that you do for the community and conducting these judicial forums every year. So I'm Christopher Darden. I'm sort of the senior citizen candidate for judge. I was born when Eisenhower was president. I remember the Kennedy assassination, both of them. Right? You know, kids today, they talk about 9/11, but we know about American history, don't we? Because we lived it. And all of us, I'm 67, many of us in this room, we all probably share a common perception or belief, and that is that the world is changing. The world that we were born into doesn't exist anymore. Everything has changed. And so now you have me, Christopher Darden, here running for judge, and I bring with me all the good things from back then. And I hope to bring with me to the bench all the good things that I've learned in recent years. I've been a lawyer for 44 years. This is my 44th year. I was a prosecutor first in 1981 when I joined the DA's office. I was there till 1997. Of course I prosecuted OJ, but I tried 20 murder trials before that. Did you know that OJ Simpson was the only felony jury trial I ever lost? What a doozy. And after I left the Simpson case in the DA's office, I went to Southwestern University Law School, and I became a professor, an adjunct professor, and then a full-time associate professor of law. I've been a criminal defense attorney for the past 25 years. I am a civil rights attorney. I don't just practice criminal law. I also practice some civil law. Currently, I'm suing the Department of Corrections on behalf of women at the women's prison in Chowchilla because they have been historically and systematically sexually abused by some of the prison guards. And I've handled small cases. I've handled evictions. I've been in family law court and helped the father secure custody of his child. I've done all kinds of things in the law. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that to say to you I have experience. I've studied the law, I've taught the law, I've practiced the law. I've been critical of the law. As we exist and live in this time today, we turn on the television and we see massive groups of people running into department stores, a bakery in Compton, a jewelry store somewhere, and we see people ripping things off the shelves, stealing in broad daylight on camera. And the store owners can't do anything about it. And nobody runs after them, and they get away with it. Well, the law was designed to prevent crime, to deter people from committing crime, and the law was designed to punish those who willfully violate the criminal law. What has happened to the criminal law? What has happened to the law in this country? Well, you need judges who know what the law is supposed to stand for, and judges who recognize when the law is actually broken. And you need judges who've looked at the situation, thought things through, and have a solution. If you elect me, if you vote for me, and I'm asking each one of you to vote for me, and I'm asking you to tell your friends that Christopher Darden, yes, that Christopher Darden is running for judge of the Superior Court, and I bring with me more experience than anyone at either one of these tables. Just like you did at your job. Vote for Chris Darden. My mom told me to tell you that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Darden. Also running for Judicial Office number 130, we have Leslie Gutierrez. And Ms. Gutierrez is here. She is a Deputy District Attorney.
That's correct.
Here's your mic.
Thank you so much. My name is Leslie Gutierrez, and I'm also running in Seat 130. I am an immigrant. I came here from France when I was an adult, and as you can imagine, it was difficult. It was hard. I had to work, I had to learn English and become fluent. After a few years of being in the country, I put myself through law school. I went to law school part-time, and I was still working during the day. I was doing both, and as you can imagine again, that was hard. I graduated summa cum laude from Southwestern Law School, which is top 1%, within 5 years of being in this country. And the way I did it was by working harder than anyone else. Every morning, before I went to work, I was studying. After school, after 10 p.m., I was in the library. In the weekends, I was in the library. I passed the bar on my first try because of hard work and dedication. After I graduated from law school, I became a criminal defense attorney for a year. And after that, and since then, for the last 12 years, I've been representing you, the people of the state of California, in court every day as a deputy district attorney. For the majority of my career, I've been prosecuting people who commit the most vicious crimes against the most vulnerable people in our society: children, women, and the elderly. When I was part of the VIP unit, for 6 years, I prosecuted child molestation, child murder, domestic violence homicides, elder abuse, elder financial abuse, elder rape. I'm now in the sex crime division where I continue to prosecute child molesters and people who commit sexual crimes on our most vulnerable in society. I have the experience, the legal experience, to be a great judge. But what makes me unique is my life experience. No one else here has come from a different country. And I'm telling you this because it shows that I work hard. It shows that I'm flexible. It shows that I'm adaptable. I've worked tirelessly for you for the last 12 years for our community to make it safe. And I will do so again as a bench officer. Every weekend, I'm working on my cases. Every night, I take work home. Because I believe in serving our community. I believe in putting in the work. I believe in making our community safe. And I will do the same as a bench officer. And I hope that you will support me. Thank you.
There's one other, you're right, it's all. There's one other candidate for office number 130 who's named Osman Tahar, and he's an attorney in law, but didn't have time to come down and tell us why he should be a Superior Court judge. So we're going to move down to office number 48. We have with us Renee Rose. There are 3 candidates running for the 48, number 48, and Renee Rose is one of them, and she's a deputy district attorney for the Los Angeles County. Ms. Rose.
All right.
Oh,
You know what? I don't trust that one. Let's stick with this one. Okay, thank you. Can you guys all hear me? My name is Renee Rose. I'm running for office, Superior Court Judge, Office 48. I was born and raised in the San Fernando Valley. I went to UC Santa Barbara and then Southwestern School of Law. For the last 32 years, I've been a prosecutor representing victims. I have expansive and diverse experience because I've been representing victims in both Riverside County and Los Angeles County. In Los Angeles County, which I began my career in 1994, I have worked in the hardcore gang unit. I have been the meth lab prosecutor in the major narcotics division. So I prosecuted people who manufactured methamphetamine, PCP. I was one of 2 specially assigned prosecutors to the arson and explosives unit. And for the last 7 years, I've been the deputy in charge of the Elder Independent Adult Abuse Unit. As the deputy in charge, I supervise specially trained district attorneys that prosecute elder physical, financial, emotional, psychological felonies throughout this county, as well as felonies committed against physically disabled and developmentally disabled adults. The defendants that we prosecute are primarily the adult children, grandchildren, or family members of our victims. They have no other place to go, and no other family member will take them in but their senior parents. So what happens is the most dangerous person in the family is paired with the most vulnerable. What justice means for those abused parents is that their children get treatment, because generally these defendants suffer from mental illness and drug addiction or substance abuse, and that's why no one else in the family will take them in. So as prosecutors, we honor our victims' wishes, and they want their children to get help. And so I'm familiar with the courts where you seek drug treatment, mental health treatment, because ultimately I know that those victims are going to let their children back in. And I want to make sure that they stay as safe as possible. I've tried 20 murders and attempt murder cases. I have been in courtrooms throughout 2 counties representing motions, prosecuting motions, and complex hearings. I have a caseload. Even though I manage a very busy unit, I myself have a caseload of 15 to 20 cases. It's important that I'm out in the courtroom so I can see, ooh, wow, that time really does go fast. I'm gonna go real quick then. I regularly train law enforcement. I train adult protective service workers so that they understand the best practices for the investigation and prosecution of elder abuse cases, because there are different kinds of cases. I believe I am the best candidate for this office. I have the most experience serving communities. I have the most experience with vulnerable victims. I will be the most committed, dedicated judge. I know how a good judge, I've seen good judges and I've seen bad judges. And I will treat everyone fairly and respectfully. And I'm committed to this job, to doing the best job I can, and give everyone a fair and just forum for their cases to be heard. And I need your vote to do that. So thank you so much for letting me talk. I know she's got that card that's bad on, but thank you so much. My name is Renee Rose, Office 48. Thank you.
I will project. So the next candidate for office number 48 is Erica Wiley. Say that? That's me. Okay, Erica Wiley, who is a deputy public defender.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for the opportunity to be heard. My career has been about the opportunity to be heard. I am the daughter of a woman who raised 6 children in South Central Los Angeles. My mother is the reason I'm here today. She supported us in public housing and with the income that she earned from a small business that she had selling secondhand goods. I was always struck to see my mother give away sometimes some of her best product to some of the women in the community, poor women in the community. And I would ask her, Mom, why are you giving away your goods when we barely have enough to sustain ourselves? And she told me that when you pour into people in the community, the possibilities are endless. Today, my mother's children, born and raised in South Central Los Angeles and growing up in the 90s crack environment that existed at that time, are a candidate for Superior Court judge, a CPA, a surgeon, and a world-renowned artist famous for his portrayal of Barack Obama as a presidential portraitist. My mother was right. Public service is in my DNA. I have been a deputy public defender for 24 years, but I started out in the Legal Aid Foundation, the Los Angeles Legal Aid Foundation, where I worked in helping people establish 501c3 organizations, underserved, low-income businesses, establish themselves as corporations. I'm proud now to have been a deputy public defender for the last 24 years. I've handled cases from misdemeanors to capital murders. I've tried over 100 misdemeanor, felony, and juvenile cases. I've worked as a supervisor in my office. I've worked as a trainer of other lawyers in my office. I am experienced. I know this work. I'm the best candidate for this position. And my commitment to community service is, I think, what differentiate me from the other candidates in my office. I have worked as in my spare time on the weekends, assisting individuals to expunge their records, because I've recognized in my work that a criminal record is an albatross in the future to the ability to gain housing, to the ability to sometimes have your children live in your home. So I've dedicated myself not only in my work, but in my community service, in my spare time to assisting the community, and I hope that you will see that I am the best candidate for this position. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Ms. Wiley. I believe there's one more candidate, but not here, but there's another candidate for 48, and that's Malik Burrows, who is listed as an attorney at law. So let's move to Judicial Office number 57, and we'll start with there are 3 candidates. I believe they're all here. We'll start with Sam. Oh, I'm going to mispronounce your name. I'm sorry, sir. Obertud. He's a deputy district attorney. How do you pronounce? Did I say 97?
You said 57. It's 97.
Oh, it's 97. I needed my glasses. Yeah, this is Judicial Office number 97. How do you pronounce your name, sir?
Abershed. My wife does it best. Abercrombie at the mall, Aber, and then a woodshed, shed, Abershed. So I'm Sam Abershed, and I am running for Office 97. Diversity and representation are probably the most important things in a judicial bench officer when you are trying to determine who to vote for. So much of the law is in the gray area. So much of the law is dependent on that judicial discretion. So it's important to have that level-headed person on the bench, that person with a lot of life experience and legal experience, the diversity of those experiences. I am first generation American. I was born to Syrian immigrants. When I was young, my family relocated back to the Middle East, and I lived there for about 10 years before coming back to the US. Those 10 years, I lived mostly in Syria and Saudi Arabia. Lots of good memories, lots of good food. Unfortunately, there was also a lot of bad. I was often the target of ridicule, prejudice, discrimination, hatred, and regrettably, a lot of emotional and physical violence. Had a lot of indiscretions. Turned out I didn't speak Arabic quite the way the natives did. I didn't quite understand the culture the natives did. But probably my biggest crime was that I was American. Those experiences instilled in me a profound sense of wanting to serve the principles of justice, equality, equity, humanity. And so when I came back to the US, I joined the military. I was 19 years old. I started in the Air Force. In the Air Force, I deployed overseas in support of Desert Storm, Desert Shield. Short while later, I joined the FBI. I figured I can serve the principles of justice while in the FBI. And I did that for 12 years. There, I was successful in having a part in dismantling a sleeper terrorist cell, and I would receive high accolades for it. But while with the FBI, and every time I went into court, I realized that I can better serve the principles of justice as an attorney. And so I started my second career. I went to law school, finished in 2.5 years, graduated magna cum laude. And then I started working as a prosecutor, where I have been serving the people of California for the past 12 years now. And I have prosecuted every case, from DUIs to murder, sex crimes, and everything else in between. And now I realize that I can further serve the principles of justice as a judicial bench officer. And that's what I want to do here today. And so I'm asking for your vote and your support. I am not only a a prosecutor. I am also concurrently a defense attorney. I serve concurrently as a JAG officer in the Army Reserve. I'm a defense attorney there. So I joke, I prosecute by day, then I prosecute by day and I defend by night. It's true though, and this makes me that much better at both jobs. I stand before you also not only a criminal law practitioner, as Ms. Dixon alluded to, there's so much under the law. It's not just criminal law. I am somebody who has practiced extensively in the military as a contracted fiscal law attorney, international law, civil law. So I am somebody who is ready to hit the ground running no matter where the presiding judge decides I need to be assigned. So I am here asking for all of your support and vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abershed. And next we have, is that me or you? Okay. All right. My time's up, apparently. Sorry. The next candidate we have for office number 97 is Sharon Ransom, and she also is a deputy district attorney, and she'll tell us why she would be the best of the candidates, the three candidates. Would you like this mic or the podium?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having us here this morning. My name is Sharon Ransom. I'm running for Superior Court Judge in seat 97. I'm running to bring balance to the bench. I'm running to bring diversity to the bench. Of nearly 600 judges in LA County, less than 5% are Black women. I have the life experience and the legal experience that qualifies me for this job. I've been a public servant for over 37 years. I started my first 17 years as a dispatcher for the Sheriff's Department, dispatching police to calls to protect the community. I spent the next 18, I've been a prosecutor for the last 18 years, currently assigned to the mental health unit. In that unit, we seek treatment for people that have been accused of a crime rather than incarceration. There are times that we file petitions for civil commitments to extend the hospital stay when a person is too dangerous to be let out and released to the hospital, to the streets. We also do all types of hearings regarding mental health issues, state hospital commitments, and even, I didn't learn this until I went there, if a person's placed on a 72-hour hold, they lose the right to possess a handgun, which is pretty serious, seeing the rise in mental illness, crime, and homelessness in our community. So I'm doing my part there. But a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in South Central Los Angeles to a single parent. I attended LAUSD public schools. I was raised by a single mother, and I became a single mother at the age of 21. I put myself through school at night while working full-time as a sheriff's dispatcher and raising my young daughter, trying to instill into her the importance of education and perseverance. I was diagnosed with breast cancer for the first time at the age of 30. I'm a 3-time survivor because it has recurred, but I'm well and healthy today. And I didn't become a lawyer until I was almost 40, because when I was in the City of Hope being treated, I asked God, told God if He spared my life, I'd do something great with it. And so I went to law school. I went at night and I worked during the day. So I've been a prosecutor for over 18 years. Like I said, I'm currently assigned to the mental health unit. Prior to that, I was in the major narcotics unit where I prosecuted cases of people that possess large quantities of narcotics. Prior to that, I was in the elder abuse unit where Renee Rose was my supervisor. But I prosecuted cases committed against the elderly, whether it be financial, physical abuse, mental. And prior to that, I was in the Victim Impact Program, where I prosecuted also sexual assaults, child molestation, rape, family violence, things of that nature. When I'm not in the court, I'm in the community. I've taught Project Lead to 5th graders to try to teach them the importance of the criminal justice system and how to make good life decisions. I'm a breast cancer advocate and counselor. I have been involved in teen court, and that's a program for diversion for youth that commit crimes to try to keep them on the straight and narrow and keep them out of the system. I've prosecuted over 45 jury trials ranging from petty theft up to murder. I'm also a recruiter for our office to try to recruit diverse people into the office. The bench, we need diverse people, not just diverse in appearance, but diverse in thought, action, life experience. I've devoted the last 37 years to being a voice for you, the people in the community. And I would very much appreciate your support, your votes, and your vote for me. And tell all your friends and family to vote Sharon Ransom. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nancy. One more, but there's an announcement we want to make on the video recording of this. First of all, just so everyone knows, we are video recording all of the candidates and what they say. And it will be available on YouTube, but somebody was going to, there may be a charge or something for it, and somebody wanted to briefly explain this, how the video recording on YouTube would work.
Thank you. Yes, TC Productions Los Angeles, Prashanti, is recording for us, and he's going to be, afterwards, if you'd like to get any of your personal video clips, or this is going to be posted on YouTube in its raw form, maybe a little bit of editing, maybe for the light and sound. But other than that, you can reach out to him directly, and he'll help you take care of any needs that you may have as candidates. And also those candidates whose names are not spelled properly on the sheet, be sure that when you get up to speak, and I'm talking about Georgia Huerta, and I believe Erica, you're as well. Okay, make sure that you get those corrections because people will be Googling you, so that's very important. Thank you very much. Any other questions, please speak directly with Prashanti over here from TC Productions Los Angeles.
All right, thank you for that announcement. Our final candidate for office number 97 is LaShae Henderson. Ms. Henderson.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for being here with us. It's such a pleasure to connect with members of the community and share my passion for justice and the study of law. I apologize for being a little late this morning. I had another meeting. And so I'm part of a cohort called the Defenders of Justice. I have dedicated my life to fighting for equal rights for all citizens. I challenge antiquated ideologies that affirm mass incarceration and prejudice toward those who are marginalized by society. During my career, I have litigated During my career, I have litigated 50 jury trials and 25 court trials. I have fought to implement restorative justice in our court proceedings. I have worked to create a legal system where litigants are not judged by the color of their skin, financial status, or sexual orientation, but on the merits of their case. This is why we need judicial officers from diverse backgrounds with life experience that will bring new approaches to the criminal justice system. I am dedicated to creating an environment of dignity, professionalism, and equality in the courtroom. I will apply the law with thorough legal analysis, administer justice and fairness. My goal is to promote and encourage community organizations and outreach programs to assist individuals in the court system. I will combat recidivism by expanding the use of mental health treatment and programs to address homelessness. I was born and raised in South Central Los Angeles. Since I was a little girl, I've always been passionate about defending those with no voice. My parents taught me principles of discipline, patience, and perseverance. They taught me how to work hard, power through prejudice and discrimination, and achieve results. I will bring those same qualities to the bench. When I was just 12 years old, the dynamics of my family life changed when my father's disability forced him to retire early. In order to support us, my mother had to go back to court reporting school while I took care of my 4 younger siblings. While I was in law school and studying for the bar, I lost both of my parents. I found myself navigating the legal system as a litigant to become legal guardian for my younger siblings. During that time period, I mourned the loss of my parents. While raising my siblings and studying for the bar exam, I have worked as a counselor, youth minister, mentor, and life coach for teens. I am passionate about juvenile rights, and I am currently an adjunct professor at Pepperdine. I served as a deputy public defender for 18 years. I have litigated misdemeanors, felonies, civil contempt cases that involve family law, probate law, restraining orders, landlord-tenant law. I've handled child support cases and juvenile petitions, and I worked in the racial justice unit. As a Black woman and a public defender, I have observed firsthand the injustices of our system. Throughout my career as a public defender, there were times when I experienced biased court proceedings, which have no place in the court system. There are cases ingrained in my memory where my client was Black or Latine, and the judicial officer showed no interest in my client's history. I'm asking for you to vote for me for new approaches to the law and fresh perspective. My name is Lachey Henderson. Vote for me for seat 97. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Henderson. Let me say we're pretty much on time to at least get through all the candidate statements by noon. I would hope, though, that all the candidates would stay around, even though that was our goal to end by noon, just because I want to make sure the audience has time to ask questions, anybody that stays around. So we'll make every attempt to do that. Let's turn now to Judicial Office number 115. 2 candidates, both deputy district attorneys. We'll start with Christmas Brookins. Ms. Brookins.
Thank you very much. I want to use the podium, but I'm vertically challenged, so I'm going to stand next to it because you might not be able to see me. My name is Christmas Brookins. You're not hearing things. It is Christmas, just like the holiday. I'm running for seat 115, and like many of the candidates up here, I'm running because I believe there needs to be diversity on the bench. Diversity of thought and diversity of lived experience. But I also believe in inclusivity. I believe no one should be left behind. And to understand why I follow that philosophy, I think you need to learn a little bit more about me. See, I know what it's like to be part of an imperfect system. I spent a lot of my life in a lot of imperfect systems. I was born in the Bronx. For the first 12 years of my life, I was a foster youth with the Children's Aid Society of New York. Every aspect of my life was decided by someone who never spent more than 5 minutes with me. I didn't have a voice. And finally, when I did have the opportunity to stand in front of a judge and use that voice and express myself, no one listened. That system wasn't perfect. That's just how the system worked, and that's how you accepted it. But over the years, that system has changed. Now, foster youth, they have more services. They have a louder voice. When I was a foster youth, when you hit 18, you were kicked out and you were on your own. Now, they work to help you establish a residence, a job. But even with all of that, that system is still overwhelmed. And too many foster youth are left behind. And I know that because on April 1st, 2005, I was hired as a deputy district attorney. And I have been a deputy district attorney since then. As a deputy district attorney, I have been signed, like my other colleagues, to the Victim Impact Program. But with my experience, I was often given the most complex child abuse, child molestation cases. I did elder abuse, I did hate crimes, I did domestic violence murders. But it was the child abuse and the child molestation cases that really spoke to me because there were too many foster youth as victims. Even with all those improvements, they were still left behind. One of the candidates got up here and talked about how the court didn't consider the accused or the defendant's background. I do that in my job. Their education, their socioeconomic status, even their immigration status, because we're required by law to consider that. But as I sat there and I handled these cases, I often wonder, why is there no child advocate for this victim? Why is there no counselor for this victim? Why is there no mental health services that is applied by the court for this victim? I've experienced that handling child abuse cases, and then when I moved to human trafficking, it was worse, because I was a runaway, and there was too many runaways who were being trafficked, 15, 16, 17-year-old. There are programs to help the person accused of trafficking, and I think there should be. I think there should be alternative sentences, but we always leave that victim behind. I served in the United States Navy as an aviation electronics technician and as a Mandarin Chinese linguist. When I separated from the Navy, I was a vet. I had no health insurance. I had limited funds. I had to go to the VA because I got sick. Once again, veterans, they are often left behind, and I experience that in my court every day as a calendar DA. That is my lived experience, and I see the necessity for balance of both. Inclusivity. You can't have passion for one and leave the other behind. That's why you need to vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brookins. And the second candidate for number 115 is Keith Coyano. Mr. Coyano is also a Deputy District Attorney. Floor is yours, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Keith Coyano, and I'm running for office number 115. I am a Deputy District Attorney. I have held assignments in the Hardcore Gang Division, the Major Narcotics Division, and now I work for the Task Force for Regional Auto Theft Prevention. I've tried over 80 cases to verdict before juries. I have been awarded the Deputy District Attorney of the Month for my role in a prosecution for a doctor who was prescribing opioids, heroin, to victims of our community in Rowland Heights. I have volunteered for over a decade with Project LEAD, teaching 5th graders about the dangers of discrimination and substance abuse. Through it all, as a Deputy District Attorney, one of the most surprising things happened when I entered into politics. I found that some of my biggest supporters were members of the defense bar. When I found out about this, I asked them why they were supporting me after many hard-fought battles in court, after many, many long months of hard work. And it's because what they told me was, it's because you're fair, balanced, and firm. We can trust you. You will not railroad our clients. You will listen to us, and we know that your word is your bond. The reason why I take my word so seriously, and the reason why I consider the courtroom to be the cornerstone of truth and justice, is because of who I am growing up. I'm a child of immigrants. I'm half Filipino and half Japanese. What I didn't understand as a child was the reason why a lot of Japanese people did not treat me as an equal, and why my Filipino family treated me as an outsider. I didn't understand how I was being judged on the actions of people from World War II. Throughout my adolescence, I had trouble interacting and being felt or feeling like I had a voice, and that became even more so the case when I was diagnosed with scoliosis. From the age of 14 to 21, I had to wear a back brace that locked my hips to my shoulders, and I quickly learned how cruel people could be and how I would be judged on my physical appearance. I later went to college, and I still felt like I did not have a voice. It wasn't until I served jury duty at the Compton Courthouse on a very serious case that I found my true calling. After about a month of evidence that was presented, I was shocked in the deliberation room when 11 other jurors turned to me, Keith Coyano, and they asked, "What do you think about the evidence?" That was the first time I actually felt like I had a voice amongst 11 other people from different backgrounds from mine, and it felt like I might be able to make a difference in this world. I practiced as a criminal defense attorney throughout Southern California for the beginning of my career in every county from Ventura all the way down to the border, the Otay Mesa border. I've served with distinction. I've done my very best to listen to everybody I come into contact with, and I've never forgotten who I am and the reason why we have our system of courts. We need fair, balanced, and firm judicial officers to listen to everybody who comes into court, to be the face that people associate with our system of justice. I ask you for your support in this election. Please vote Keith Coyano for office number 115. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coyano. Only 2 offices left. That doesn't mean they're all of equal importance, let me tell you. They're all Superior Court judgeships, but office number 135, we have 3 candidates, and we'll start with Mohammed Ali Fared, who is listed as, I think, maybe father and attorney at law. There he is.
Good morning, and thank you for having me here and giving me the opportunity to tell you a little bit about myself. First, I want to point out that my name is misspelled on both the sheets and the label. It's Mohammed, closer, Mohammed, M-O-H-A-M-M-A-D. Last name is F as in Fred, A-K-H-R-E-D-D-I-N-E. As I said, my name is Mohammed Fakhreddin, and I'm running for judicial seat number 135, which currently sits in the Superior Court Civil Panel. I am a civil litigation and appellate attorney. For the past 15 and a half years, I have been litigating and appealing civil cases ranging from general business disputes, probate cases, family law cases, employment cases, constitutional law cases, and so forth. I've had numerous published appellate opinions, and several of those have made it into the attorney practice guides that attorneys use in helping them in their practice. A year and a half ago, I argued in the California Supreme Court on a landmark case regarding the application of a criminal penal code as applied to the civil courts. I believe my experience as both a litigation attorney and especially as an appellate attorney gives me a specific and a special type of insight on what judicial officers do correctly and get wrong. As an appellate attorney, I have to review the evidence that the court admits into evidence, whether that was done properly or not, the court's analysis of those facts as they apply to the case law, and their holdings as related to the facts with those case law. And I have to determine if the judicial officer did that properly or not. And because of that, I've been able to see what judges have done properly, and more importantly, what judges have gotten wrong. And that has allowed me to prevent from making those mistakes in my practice, and if I get your vote, from avoiding those mistakes when I sit on the bench. To tell you a little bit about myself personally and my education, I am also an immigrant. I came here from Lebanon when I was about 18 years old because there was a civil war in my country. I went to Cal State Northridge, got a double major in business. I didn't go straight to law school after because while I was in college, I started a clothing distribution business that by the time I graduated was so successful I couldn't take off the 5 days of the week required to go to college, to go to law school. But eventually I found a law school that allowed you to go nights and weekends, and so that's what I did. I worked 5 days out of the week, went to law school at nights and weekends, graduated cum laude, and passed the bar exam on my first try. I am a father of 5 beautiful children, happily married, with a beautiful wife. My youngest child is just turned 19. She is off to UC Santa Barbara. I have 3 kids that are currently in college. And if you did the math in your head, yes, I had 2 of my youngest kids while I was in law school, working 5 days a week and studying to pass the bar. In addition to that, my wife and I, for the past 18 years, have been involved in the foster care program. We've been foster parents to about 30 to 40 kids, many of whom have grown up and they still consider us part of the family and come by all the time. We have been involved in the foster care program, not just as foster parents, but in the application and helping foster children in the actual public forum, in the judicial forum of the dependents court. And my time is up, so I believe my life experiences, my judicial experiences will make me a fair, unbiased, and great judicial officer. So thank you for.
Thank you. The next candidate for number 135 is George Huerta. He's a deputy district attorney. Oh, excuse me. Georgia. Well, another misspelling. Georgia Huerta. Here you go.
It is Georgia, but George is okay. That was my father's name. So that's just a sign to me that he's here with me today. I've been a deputy district attorney for over 30 years. As a deputy district attorney, every day I would ask myself, the decisions that I am making today, how will they help keep our community safe or make our community safer? Because that was what my job was, to make sure that your community, my community, was safe. And we're all part of the community. Even people accused of crimes are part of the community, and that was what my job was. I have enjoyed being a public servant for the last 30 years. I've tried over 80 cases to verdict, ranging from simple misdemeanors to special circumstance murders. So I've not tried the same types of cases over and over again. I've tried a variety of cases. In fact, I tried my first case 3 days in the office as a deputy district attorney, a DUI. So I have tried cases. I've done hundreds of preliminary hearings and other pretrial motions. I want you to know that I tried these cases within the first 10 to 12 years of my time in the DA's office. After that, I was placed in more of a leadership responsibility. I've been a calendar deputy, where I've been responsible for just that court. I have been a master calendar deputy, where all the cases for the entire courthouse is funneled through one courtroom. I've been the master calendar deputy there. And as another individual stated, that is a very serious and important position. Not only that, I have been a filing deputy. When officers bring cases to me to file on behalf of the people, it's my responsibility to know the law, to make sure that all the elements for each crime is met, and whether or not it's the type of case that should be filed. In fact, I filed for about 5 or 7 years right across the street at the Whittier courthouse. Not only have I done that, I have been a supervising deputy district attorney as well. I tell you all that to tell you this, that as a deputy district attorney and a public servant, I know the law. I know my way around the courtroom. I know what's required of a judge. I know that a judge must be fair, they must be open-minded, and as a judge, I would ask myself the same question every day. As I listen to the individuals before me and the decisions that I will make, is it based on the law? Is it based on the evidence? Is it making or keeping our community safe? I want to tell you something else about me. I am a community involved person. I've lived here in the city of Whittier since 1992. My two sons are Eagle Scouts out of Troop 688, St. Gregory. My nephew is an Eagle Scout out of East Whittier Presbyterian Church. I am a member of my church, my family church, for over 40 years. I'm on the board of trustees. I am the president of the usher board. I am the community coordinator for COVID-19. Not only that, I am involved in Project LEAD, teaching fifth graders about the importance of making good decisions in education. And our church has an extensive outreach ministry. I will tell you one additional thing. I have also worked, and I think it's important that a judge is well-rounded, with our alternative sentencing court. So please check me out and vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Huerta. And the last candidate for number 135, just by alphabetical order, is Stephen E. Mack.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Mack. I'm running for Judicial Office number 135. My parents were refugees of the Vietnam War. They came over after being sponsored by who I know as Uncle Randy. Uncle Randy was a service member. He served in the U.S. Army, and that planted in my mind, a seed of service. Even though my parents were not English speakers, they're refugees. The universal language of gratefulness is shared by all of us. They made their first home in South Central. I was born there. I went to school in the LA Unified School District, in the Montebello Unified School District. And the first chance I had to serve my community and my country, I did. I joined the Army ROTC program in 2000. And in 2003, I went to my first unit at the Oakland Army Base. I went to college at Berkeley. The Oakland Army Base is to the left of this post station while you're going onto the Bay Bridge. And right there onto the left is this sewer plant, a water treatment plant, so you know when you're there. And the first day I was there is what's called the Pay Entry Basic Date. And that date is important to every service member because it is the date that marks the first day of your commitment. And that day was 2003, January 13th, today. Today marks 20 years of service. I am a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve now. And it is my service that qualifies me to stand here before you. I was a cook. I started off as a cook, a 92 Golf. And I advanced to a company commander in that unit, that intelligence unit. I went to law school at UCLA. I became an Army lawyer and JAG officer. My first job was a defense attorney, trial defense service. The motto of that is defending soldiers who defend America. They were service members that came back from Iraq and Afghanistan. They had issues and the Army held them to standards. And part of leadership is leniency and mercy. And I made sure that that happened and that was reflected in my service. In 2012, I went to Afghanistan. I was a legal advisor, responsible for all the fiscal and contract laws, operations for logistics in the theater. You look at that country and it breaks your heart. Where I was stationed was called Kandahar. It's a high desert, much like LA. And you look out and you wonder, why can't this country be like us in terms of freedom, rights, and justice? I came back home and became a deputy DA. I've been doing that for 10 years, and for the past 5 years, I prosecute murder cases, specifically in the Westlake area of Los Angeles. That's the birthplace of MS-13 and 18th Street, and those are the cases I do. For the past 5 years, I've done about 13 murder trials. And the reason I'm asking for your vote is not because of the broad range of experience. It's because why you're here today. How we resolve our problems and our disputes is a model for the world. I've been around the world. There's no place else to go. We have to improve our community. I ask for your vote because I know you believe what I believe. You believe in your community, you believe in our country, and you believe how we resolve our problems is a model for the world. Thank you. My name is Stephen Mack, seat number 135.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. We're going to move now to office number 137. And again, just because they're going last, hopefully you'll give them the same kind of attention you've given to the earlier office. But we're going to start 137 with Michael Berg, who lists himself as an attorney and business owner. Mr. Berg?
Thank you. My name is Michael Berg, and I'm running for seat 137. I was born and raised in the Valley, and at a young age, I started working with my father. At 15, he owned a butcher shop in Granada Hills, and I worked there until law school. I am also a father of 2 girls and married. Sometime after law school, I did open up my own criminal defense firm, and for the past 16 years, I have been defending people accused of misdemeanors and felonies. But what I also do is I represent victims of crime. And you might ask yourself, why does a victim need an attorney? There are a lot of reasons. Sometimes I just go with them to the police department to file the police report because they are afraid to go to the police department. Other times is to tell the prosecutor what the victim wants, or there might be restitution issues. There's a lot of reasons. I've been to courts in just about every LA court there is. I have practiced civil, and I did it in some dependency cases. I've also been to the Catalina court, shocking that there is one, and I've been just about every court from Santa Barbara down to San Diego. I've seen a wide breadth of judges, and I've seen every type of judge there is. It's been hundreds and hundreds of judges. And I know what a good judge is, and that's what I aspire to be. I do want to tell you I am endorsed by Bob Hertzberg and Laura Friedman. In today's court, there's a perception problem. People on the left think everyone's going to prison, and people on the right think no one's getting punished. The reality is in the middle of that. I am neither a prosecutor or a public defender, and I represent both sides. I get a unique experience in view of this on how I can help the system. And which is why I'm as an example, I'm a big proponent of mental health diversion. And it's because of one of my cases. I had a client who called 911, said he was going to kill himself. LAPD shows up, my client chases 2 LAPD officers with a knife. In the police report, they say they were going to use deadly force, but they couldn't. They couldn't get a clear shot. They ended up tasing him. I met him in court for the first time. He had no recollection of what happened, and he was a complete mess. I got him into a program for mental health and substance abuse. I did a mental health diversion on his case, and 2 years later, I got the case dismissed. And that person I met at arraignment doesn't exist anymore. He's a productive member of society. He's got a job, he has his substance abuse under control, and his mental health under control, which is important because what if the judge said no? The judge said, no, I'm not gonna, this is dangerous. This guy's dangerous. He can go to prison. So he goes for 4 years to prison. He gets out in 2 years, hasn't gotten any better in prison, and now he's on the street with everyone else who's living on the street and can be a problem. But his case of mine inspired me to really push for mental health diversion. I do want to say that I am the only candidate in my race in seat 137 that has picked a jury and has gone to trial. And that's important because the majority of criminal cases in the court are criminal. There's on average, over 100,000 cases, as opposed to, let's say, dependency, which is 15 to 20,000 a year. Thank you. My name is Michael Berg, and I'm running for seat 137.
Thank you, Mr. Berg. And next we have Tracy Blount, and she is listed as a senior deputy county counsel. That's not a deputy district attorney, it's not a prosecutor, it's with the LA County Counsel's office. Ms. Blount.
Thank you. I'm gonna stand here. That's okay with everyone. Hello? Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Tracy Blunt, and I'm really happy to be here. I think this is great that this is even being held. Okay, better? Okay. A little bit about me. I grew up in the Altadena, Pasadena area, went to UC Berkeley, went to University of Laverne College of Law by way of Syracuse. It snowed. I was out of there. And I went to Laverne at night, so I worked during the day because I wanted to. And it took me an extra year, but I got that done. I worked for County Counsel's office as a paralegal. I started in the Sheriff's Legal Advisory Unit. County Counsel's office has an advice unit for the sheriff. Then I went to the Dependency Division, which was Children's Services. A little bit about County Counsel. We represent the county in civil matters. So we have a bunch of different divisions. We have probate, workers' compensation, labor and employment, dependency, which is my area of law, several others, government services, board liaison division, which works on behalf of the board of supervisors. Independency law, a point of clarification that Mr. Berg brought up, we do try cases every day. The difference is that, first of all, we deal with child abuse and neglect, sex abuse, physical abuse, child death, a lot of ugly subject matter. But it's because it's about kids, the cases are confidential, so we can't have a jury. All the cases are tried like a regular trial in front of a judge. So for that reason, I've tried hundreds of cases because a judge already knows the law, and if someone wants to litigate an issue of visitation or whatever, the judge can say right then and there, okay, we're gonna do a trial right now. So you have to be ready. We don't have to call a jury, which is just a matter of picking 12 people. We have to do it then and there in front of the judge. So hundreds of cases are tried. It's very difficult, grinding work because of the subject matter. But it's about child safety, which is why I've stayed in that division. And because of that, because it's about people and their children, we deal with every area of law, family law, probate, education law, just anything and everything can come up. In addition, I have prepared appeals. I've been doing appeals since 2007, dependency appeals. I'm now at the warrant desk. So I was in trial court for about 12 years, and I've been at the warrant desk for about 7 or 8 years now. Warrants, think of a search warrant. The social worker has to apply to the judge in order to take the child out of the home. So I've been doing dependency cases from beginning to end. I can say this, being in court every single day in front of judges, you learn, you understand the weight of what they have to do, the responsibility of what they have to do. And I remember my hearing officer who retired said, you have to take yourself off and when you put that robe on and do the job fairly. And that's what I plan to do. I hope I have your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blount. And the last candidate for 137 that's here is Diana Ruth James. So let's hear from Ms. James. Well, I said she was here. She isn't here, all right. And there's another candidate, by the way, she listed as attorney at law. There's another candidate named Luz Herrera, I don't believe is here either. Okay, so I'd like to say as moderator, I actually brought this in, since it's my responsibility, at almost noon. But wait a minute, we have one more candidate. This goes back to office number 39.
Whoa, is everybody still awake? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Yes, my name is Steve Napolitano. I'm that guy. I'm late this morning. Joe, good morning. Good to see you again. I was late because my old boss, Don Canavi, told me always put family first over politics. And my 9-year-old had a playoff soccer game this morning, and so I showed up to that first. But I'm still very happy to be here. I drove within the speed limit to get here, so I appreciate that. I am not your usual judicial candidate. I'm the first to admit that. Yes, I'm an attorney. I've been practicing for over 20 years now. And I've done education law, I've done municipal law, I've done contract law, I've been an advisor to Supervisor Canavi on legal issues, and also, though I am currently a state-appointed attorney for inmates up for parole, so what I do is I prepare them for their parole hearings, I advocate, I represent them at their parole hearings. These are basically trials. They are trials for their life to see whether they get out of prison or not. And I make sure that they're doing what they need to do to get out and never come back to prison, because doing this, you understand what the causes of crime are, but also how to avoid repeating those same mistakes in the future. So I'm a state-appointed attorney. Before the Board of Parole hearings, I've done hundreds of hearings there. I'm also an administrative hearing officer, and some of my clients call me administrative law judge. It's the same thing. I actually oversee hearings myself for cities and counties throughout the state. They hire me to be their administrative hearing officer, their administrative law judge for anyone who violates the rules of the city. I deal with issues with cannabis regulations, with violations of city codes, and they appear before me, and I've got unrepresented parties, I've got represented parties, they've got attorneys, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars at stake. I'm already a third-party neutral, impartial hearing officer on those things, making those decisions, weighing the evidence, taking the testimony, and then I make written decisions based on that as I apply the law to the facts. And so I'm already doing that, but that's the day job. I also am I've spent 30 years in public service, and currently I am on the Manhattan Beach City Council. I am serving my 5th term there, so I know what's important to communities. I was also 12 years with Supervisor Canavi as his senior deputy for many areas, and worked out here in Whittier and worked out here at Hacienda Heights, as Charles and Martha, of course, worked on many things there to improve the communities. And so I know what the issues are the communities face. I know what homelessness is. I've been part of the homeless counts. I know the concerns over crime and safety. I know the concerns over who the district attorney is. I know the concerns over zero bail. I know these issues. I know what the community is looking for and what they expect. So what I bring to this is a diversity of experience, and I think a diversity of experience on the bench is very important. People who know the communities, who know the law certainly, but also have a wealth of experience to see what the expectations are out there and what people want. Because as much as we're constrained by the law, we also have discretion, and especially through diversion and other things, as to how to get folks off the street, keep them from committing crimes in the future. But the important thing, again, is that diversity of experience in applying that to these situations. And so that's what I want to bring as judge. Please go to stevenapolitano.com to know more, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm trying to wrap that up as soon as possible, being the last person before the questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Napolitano. Okay, all of the candidates that came out here, and that's most of the candidates for these judicial offices, have had a chance to be heard. There are 2 things that I would like to do, with your indulgence. One is, I'd like to take questions from the audience, and perhaps go as late as 12:30 if we need to. And also, I know Judge True would like to make a comment or 2. But let me just start off with, are there some questions that, all right, you see some questions. I'm gonna have to hand you the mic so everybody can hear you. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, yeah. My name is Octavio Cesar Martinez, and
I have the privilege of serving with the mayor of Whittier as a council person here in this city. I have a basic question for all of you, and I'm glad that candidate Napolitano brought this issue up. We've heard the arguments. Most of us who are here are interested in the candidates and who you are. So we've heard the arguments for and against zero bail. What I'm asking each of you to do is to be honest with us, and by a show of hands, let us know if you support zero bail.
Yeah, define zero.
As we understand it, many people who are brought before, could be brought before you as judges, will be, there'll be times that there'll be no cash bail required. They'll get a citation and sign a promise to come back to court. And I would...
Yeah, okay. So you're going to answer this a little bit. This is going to be a hard question to answer, I think. But what he's really getting at is the fact that the court itself sets the bail policy for the court. And the question is, should there be a no bail policy essentially for, I think, every defendant that comes before the Superior Court? I'm going to start off with Ms. Dixon, and then we'll just have a show of hands on that.
That's not the state of the law, that's a misstatement of the law. It was only for low-level misdemeanors because it can cause economic wreckage when they take your car and impound it and give you a bail on cases sometimes that are not even filed, but you can't get your money back on the bail. So that was actually a litigation that happened where an injunction was put in place, and the appellate court, first the Superior Court and then the appellate court, upheld that. It's not zero bail. I wanted to get a distinction between that because now when we do what we call Humphrey hearings, where we want to ask for a bail for our client, what's happening is they're saying the DAs are advocating for zero bail. So they're saying that if there is no bail, then you can't argue about the bail. And we're saying, like, when there's an excessive bail, like $1 million bail, and we're saying we want to bring it down to an amount that they can afford. We're not saying they get no bail, but we're saying they should have a bail that they can afford looking at their circumstances in their life. And then what happens is the DA puts in a competing motion saying zero bail. So that's why I wanted to define it, because that's, I think it was a misnomer. The court does not set the bail. The bail is actually set by a bail schedule. So that's not true either.
So what is the bail schedule currently? What's the bail schedule currently, if you know? This is a tough question. For second degree burglary.
It's $50,000 or more.
Okay, all right. So, no, second degree burglary. Okay, so there is a bail schedule. The County of Los Angeles, the judges through the presiding judge sets the bail schedule. There is a question though, whether there should be no bail for very serious crimes like potentially first-degree murder, whether there could be a no bail rule. Is there currently a no bail rule?
The no bail means that they don't get out.
That's right. No bail gets set, they can't get out. And that currently exists under law. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The current schedule put out by the Los Angeles County Superior Court judges basically says there's zero bail for all misdemeanors, zero bail for low-level felonies that are non-violent. That's the current state of the law. The bail schedule came out October 1st. It has been changed 4 times. 29 cities have sued the Los Angeles County Superior Court judges under that. The question that a lot of us have is, do the judges here, potential judges here, do you agree with the zero bail and understanding that there have been some problems with the bail system, but to go from bail to basically no bail under the circumstances with 4 changes in the schedule since October 1st, how do the judges, potential judges here feel about the need for zero bail? That's the question.
Turn the mic on.
I think we need to do this just by a show of hands, yes or no.
Well, maybe I can say through that first. As candidates for judicial offices, we are bound by ethics rules, the same that apply to current city judicial officers. We are prevented by those ethics rules from giving our personal opinion about matters such as this. And the reason for it is simple. As a judge, you're supposed to have an appearance of zero bias, impartiality. So if we were to give answers to these questions, we would exhibit a bias. That bias, in turn, could be used by people to force us to be recused from hearing cases, number one. And number two, it could get us sanctioned by the state bar. So it could get us in trouble as attorneys. We're not allowed to give you our personal opinion. And I understand it's frustrating.
And I think you're right. There is a potential ethical issue under the canons of judicial ethics, where a judge should be, these don't work, do they? Yeah, they do. So there's an ethical issue here. On the other hand, let me just say that this is an issue in which the judges themselves decide what the bail schedule is going to be. So, no? Well, who decides the bail schedule in LA County?
There was a litigation on behalf of someone that had their car impounded, and then later on they were able to get it back, but they had lost money for the bail and the car, and these economic expenses were very high. So there was a lawsuit, and that lawsuit resulted in an injunction, which means that none of the judges, once there's an injunction, has the ability to change that. And the bail schedule is set. It's not set by the judge.
Well, there is a bail schedule. The bail schedule says that it's no cash bail is required for low-level felonies that are nonviolent. That is the current state of play, and I think this is a little bit too complex. I'm not going to require, because this issue might come before one of these individuals if they're elected to a judge seat. Let's get another question on the table here. Well, did you have a question?
Without saying anything personally, that the city of Manhattan Beach joined the city of Whittier in that lawsuit, and changes have been made to schedule since then. So the judges came out with a certain position, they were sued, and they've changed, and hopefully they continue to change.
I think that's the best we're going to do on this. So is there another question in some other area? There we go. Go ahead.
I wanted to find out if any of the candidates belong to the organization called La Defensa.
What?
La Defensa.
La Defensa. All right. Okay.
They call themselves.
Does anybody belong? What is La Defensa? Tell us what that is.
We don't belong. Yes, I'm a member of the Division of Justice. I don't belong to La Defensa, though.
Yeah, there's an organization actually supported by George Soros, and it's called La Defensa. And I wanted to find out if any of the candidates belong to that
All right,
organization.
let's just ask that question. I don't know why it's relevant at all, because I don't know what Law Defensa is, but is anybody here a member of Law Defensa? And then I'll ask him to explain what it is. Okay, we have one candidate. Anybody else? I have another one down there. I can't see your name from here. But, okay. Mr. Turner, just what is Law Defensa?
I am a member of a group of candidates. We're called the Defenders of Justice. It's me, Erica Wiley, and Lachey Henderson. We are part of a coalition. Law Defense is also a part of that coalition. Law Defense has, my experience, is a group of people who help folks who are like-minded, who are interested in running for judge, who are not from traditional judge backgrounds and who don't have an experience running for these offices.
What would they advocate? Like, how would that, they need judges, how would it be different? What's the
How will it be different if we become judges? Well, if we become judges, there will be more criminal defense judges on the bench.
That's a fair statement.
I have another question. My question also is, I think in recent years, we've seen a lot of judges try to legislate from the bench, and I want to know if you guys will commit to not doing that. A lot of judges have started legislating from the bench, and I want to know if they will commit to not
Do
legislating.
we have some potential activist judges here that want to raise their hands? Or are all the judges here not going to make or create law? They're just going to interpret it. Is that a fair statement? Does everybody agree to that? Okay. Sir.
Hi there. My name's John Joyce. I'm a citizen of LA County, and I want to thank you all so much for running. I know it's not easy to run for office, and sadly, most of you are going to lose. That's going to make it harder, but I still thank you. Thank you very much for it. Before running for office, you voted for judges, and it's very hard as a citizen to do that assessment. It's not partisan. Many of us are not attorneys, don't have direct experience as judges, etc. I was wondering, do you have any tips or tricks that you tell family members, etc., when they ask you how to vote for judges, etc.? How do you approach the decision of voting for judges?
Let me, by the way, I know Judge True had a comment. Judge True has a comment that relates to that. And I'm going to actually maybe let Judge True just wrap this up for us. And then we'll see, maybe there's another question or two we can take. Judge True.
Thank you. To answer your question, the Los Angeles County Bar Association has a Judicial Election Evaluation Commission. They interview each of the candidates, and they interview judges and lawyers who know the candidates, and then make recommendations of not qualified, qualified, very qualified, or exceptionally well qualified. So that is a source for you to check out all the candidates here. Now, that review has not come out yet, but it will come out before the election. So check the Los Angeles County Bar Association website. That's where you get that information. Okay. And well, maybe some have been notified, but the report has not come out yet, generally. So the other thing is, with respect to a comment here about we get more criminal judges, the candidates, the judges themselves do not get to decide how many judges there are. The presiding judge makes the assignment. So just because someone's a DA here or someone's a public defender doesn't necessarily mean they'll get a criminal assignment. They may get a civil assignment. They may get something else. Eventually they may go to criminal, but maybe not right away. So just because they're a DA or a PD or some other specialty does not necessarily mean they will take that specialty to the court and be assigned to that specialty immediately. The Superior Court's presiding judge, Samantha Chester, makes that determination. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Okay, so Ms. Heyman wanted to be heard because I don't think she thinks the LA County the LA County Superior Court is diverse enough. I may be misstating that, but I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to address that.
So how do you have to do the research and actually look into the person. The Los Angeles County Bar Association, they have statistics from, look at last year's, 2022. 47% of white males were highly qualified, while only, of white Caucasians in general were highly qualified, while only 19% of black people were highly qualified. Look at their statistics. Do we want change? If we want change, we've got to do something different. So I'm telling you, don't rely on what they say. Everyone has a website here. Go to their website. Reach out to them. Reach out to their campaign and find out what they are talking about, what they stand for. Because the Los Angeles County Bar Association, they have to do it differently. The women, they're marking them unqualified over the men. When you talk about, and I'm not going to talk about myself, but look at the statistics. The statistics are daunting. I did not participate because of the statistics. I called them and I told them that you are not representing diversity. If you want change, you've got to get people on the bench who understand the people who are coming before them. So, do your research. Don't rely on the LA County Bar.
All right, so here we are. We've heard from the candidates. I want to thank everybody for attending. I want to thank particularly Martha and Charles House for putting this together. And one announcement, and that is somebody asked, but there is a rating system that is done by the LA County Bar Association that will be put out on their website, Los Angeles County Bar's website. It'll be toward the end of January. Probably Martha and I will, if anybody's interested, we could probably get that to you, circulate those ratings to you when they come out. But each of these candidates will be interviewed by the LA County Bar. So thank you very much for coming, and that concludes the Judicial Candidates Forum.